So even though this video has a depressing side to it, it's important that we continue the video and make sure we get to the other side of it, because that was what we were doing in the video. And even though, warning to a lot of people, it's going to be offensive to some people. So make sure you don't have a sensitive heart before you watch this video.
But then you come wag your finger talking about we're lazy. No, keep that same energy with them. The hell, y'all 90% of the population and the 10% got all the damn farmland. They eating all the steaks. They living in all the high rises. Shit, get out of here with that.
So last time he talked about South Africa and the state that it was in. And so he's going down that path. He's continuing down the path of, okay, so this is what they're saying. This is who these African Americans are blaming for what happened in America, and this is who should be blamed in Africa as well. And you can see that there is a level of reason to what he's saying. So what he's saying is that if you're going to criticize African Americans who are poor, then you should also criticize Africans. Now, obviously, there's a bit of a context different there, but I don't even, I don't think it's that important to point it out. What I do believe is important to point out is that he is about to show a slum, which usually is not a bad thing, because it can highlight how bad some people are living in the world, and it can make some people want to change that place. But here's the problem. Showing this in a sort of comparative way to be like South Africans are not better than Americans is a very scary way of going about things.
From a table, and they were just as happy.
This community was named after Elias. Elias was a good.
Listen to what she's saying. Kind of follow the words at the bottom.
Before Nelson Mandela was released in prison. So this community was.
Okay, so this woman has a strong South African accent. The person who's subtitling it has no idea what she is saying. She did not say when Nelson Mandela was released from Brazil, it's released from prison. But she says prison like that.
Established in 1993. Our population is plus minus 15 to 20,000, including the ones who are staying in RDP houses, I think.
I definitely have to translate this part. She did not say, especially those who are staying in typical houses. She said those who are staying in RDP houses. Now, what are RDP houses? So for those of you, all of you who don't know, RDP houses are Reconstruction Development Program houses in South Africa, provided by the government to give to those who can't afford housing, obviously. And this was supposed to help by 1994, because this was a problem prior to South Africa becoming what it is today. Unfortunately, things went wrong, and some of the slums that started with a few tens of thousands of people, they blew up and they blew up and they blew up, and things got worse and worse and worse. And so now, trying to give the entire country these RDP houses is not an easy thing. Add to that corruption, not only from the government, but people who sell these houses.
So it went that side while you're passing. This is the same community. So in this community, we have different tribes. People are from Somalia, Ethiopia, Mozambique, Botswana, Lesotho, but the most dominating language.
Notice she said people from all over down there living in the slums.
Well, so yes, that was one of the problems that South Africa is facing. I mean, I know some people don't like talking about this, but this is true. One of the problems that happened in the early years of the Reconstruction Development Program was that people were either selling or just giving directly to illegal immigrants, or whatever you want to call them. And basically, more and more of them started heading down to South Africa. A lot of the people in that community who are from all over South Africa are actually illegal immigrants. Now, of course, you could talk about whether it's bad or good, but you must remember that these people have very little, and then you just gave them a house, and then someone is willing to give them money they've never seen before for that house. What do you think they're going to do?
Okay. people from all over. And what's interesting, the first country she said Somalia, family. Let me show you something. I ran across this, family. Listen. Now, a brother asked a similar question I just asked, and I just stated that, you know, y'all are 90% of the population, and y'all sitting over there getting controlled by the 10%. And listen to her response.
Cape Town, South African. It's because I made a video.
Okay, good. So he's going to play a video where she addresses this. I want to see what her explanation would be. Now, I wish he turns up the volume because she sounds really soft on this one.
Just because I made a video on the Zulu parade doesn't mean I'm South African. I'm actually Somalian.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Really? Okay, I'm going to have to help everybody watching this video because this is very, very, very important. She's joking. She is 100% South African. And I can tell because of the way she looks. She is 100% South African. I know people from America, like in America, black people look several different ways. In South Africa, I can promise you that this girl here is not Somalian. She looks, think about what you know about Somalians and what they look like. She is 100% South African. She's making a joke. Her whole thing is about joking.
I'm actually Somalian. So according to her, now I don't know if she's trolling or not, but I'm going to take.
Don't take her word. She is lying. Well, she's not lying. She's trying to play a joke because you guys are from America and you're probably not going to understand. And probably every single South African in the audience is laughing.
Her word for it. So she's Somalian, and her people over there living in the slums, okay? So that's why I stopped it and paused it right there. That's her. She's Somalian. So she's a Somalian over there. She came all the way. She fled. She fled Somalia because the Somalians, boy, Lord, that's a video for another day.
When did fleeing become like a negative thing on the person who fled? If your country is, I mean, they literally have ISIS there now. So I could understand fleeing Somalia. And two, she's not from Somalia. She's joking. And yes, there is a whole thing about South Africans and Somalians. And I wouldn't call it beef, but I'd call it like South Africans sort of look at their country as way higher than Somalia.
You know, some of the stuff they say and some of the places that they're living in over there. But she ran all the way to South Africa, and now she's over here in South Africa. She's going hard body on foundational Black Americans in the name of South Africans.
Okay, so now I know the context. So when she was posting those videos where she was showing the things and then she was going village in Limpopo and all these other stuff, she was definitely joking. This chick is just like playing around. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, well, this woman is playing around. And I know that people are looking at it like, oh, why would she play with something so serious? She's probably just making funny TikToks. It's probably not a big deal for her.
That's very interesting. She's from Somalia, but some of her people are also in those Soweto slums. You dig?
No, and there's no reason to attack Somalians.
But let's continue with the video.
This is our water. It's 100% red water. We just came with our pack.
By the way, physically is not the only way to tell if someone is South African, but I will tell you that South Africans are generally way lighter skinned than anybody else in Africa. Generally. I'm not saying there's no light-skinned people in any other places, but generally. And those two women, I mean, look at the one who's talking. You'll also notice if you look at her eyes, that's another giveaway.
Get and then bring it to the house.
Okay.
In this street, you will find 3 taps, which is one here, one in the middle, and also one down there. So we have a street from 1 until 12. We have a passage. This one apart to another street. We just use a shortcut. Yes. So
To get to the water.
Pardon?
Shortcuts to get to the water.
No, each street you will find 3 taps, which is one here, one in the middle, and also one.
Oh, got it.
But if you want to
The translator is a poor person because already the video has very poor audio quality, which is understandable, but there's also like another whoosh sound, which I don't know where it's coming from.
She's talking about the water and how they have to access the water from a certain time period in the day, different things of that nature.
Have to another street to just use a shortcut and then to get it to reach another street. So as you see, each yard it has one toilet, so we don't share toilets, we only share water.
By the way, I want to remind you that the reason why we're watching this video is because a girl who, again, judging by herself, just who she is, probably does not represent anything close to these slums here, is just joking around in a video. And now we're going to basically talk about poor people. And again, this would be fine if we're talking about it in a responsible way, which is why I feel it's important for me to contextualize everything.
So there's a company that assigned by
So basically, they don't share toilets, but they have to share the water. Okay.
government. Each and every month they come and drain for us the toilet. It's so free. Even if it gets full before time, we have to call them and come to drain it for us. So as you see, it has a toilet.
And to be absolutely serious, no human being should be living like this. But we all know why they live like this, because, that's why I found it important to show some of those videos that show the development of Africa before Europeans came. Because after they came, they give us this whole story about how they made us modern and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they didn't want to build nothing for black people. They built up their civilization and then they sort of laughed and built passes and stuff for black people in order to move around so that they could go and do basically get paid slave wages to work around them while they treat them like oxen and then go, we don't even want you anywhere near us.
So over here, this is our illegal connection of electricity, this black wire. Yes. We just stole it from Arctic houses to bring it this side. So each the government can come anytime and cut it. But when they
said the government can come at any time and cut their electricity.
Well, maybe it wasn't, maybe you didn't hear what she said in the earlier part. She said that electricity is stolen. So in other words, they're connecting stolen electricity, which anybody who's poor from any country knows that's just what people do. And the government can come and cut it at any time, sort of implying that the government is probably allowing it to go on.
Okay, this is how they're living. This is the real Soweto. This is of a week ago. Okay, this is their townships where 15, 20,000 of their people live. Okay,
we just go back and install it again.
She's saying they cut the electricity, but they just come back and they just fix it up again. They know how to fix it up. Normal life.
No. So in this community, we don't.
By the way, one of the bigger issues about South Africa is that they have this thing where they try to promote education by putting sort of barriers of entry. You have to have a certain level of education to do specific jobs. And then when people don't have that education, that means they can't do those jobs. We'll talk about entry level jobs here that they can't do. And so that is not helping anybody, because the people who went to college, they don't want to do those jobs. But then the people who want to do those jobs, they can't, because you need like a minimum.
Don't have schools.
In the community, they don't have any schools. That's what she's saying. They don't have any schools in this community. And that's interesting because a lot of South Africans love to talk about Black American education. Oh, you Black Americans are so stupid.
Where do these South Africans live? I need to know, like, which part of South Africa are there where a bunch of people are saying Black Americans are stupid? I've almost never heard that before. I've heard it from like white people. I mean, I've heard it about specific Black people from America, but where are these people saying that Black Americans are stupid as a whole? And also, do you not understand that the type of people who you're talking about are like super privileged weirdos who can afford to go to America?
Okay. Okay. I'm not even gonna pull up none of y'all school statistics over there, your education and your reading levels. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna come for the babies. That's sad. I'm not gonna come for the babies, but she's saying in these communities there's no schools.
Kindergarten, 7 of
So I saw at least one person in my comments saying I was misrepresenting him and saying that when I said he's coming for poor people, that he's not making fun of poor people. He's just said it right there. He's not going to make fun of the children. Which, by the way, the school system does not just affect the black people. Or black and white people. Yet the white people are still doing pretty well with that same reading level, quote unquote. You might want to wonder why that is.
them.
We only have 7 kindergartens.
Communities where we're going to learn our home languages.
Oh, I also want to mention, as you can see with this woman over here, English is not most of these people's first language. And I mean, most people in South Africa's first language is not English. Now, a lot of people in South Africa, like myself, we know English, but it's not our first language. It's not our first reading language either. And so when we read, it's not going to be like da 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 because it's not our first language.
First additional language and other subjects, it depends on us which language are we interested to. There's a physics, maths, geography, and other subjects. But you have to choose 5 of them in the English and your home language. Yes. So, in this community.
So obviously what she was saying was there's no schools like in the same way that like big buildings and all of that, but there is education. And she mentioned that there's physics and all of these things, but then she mentioned Xhosa as an example as probably the most popular language in that area, and any other first language that you want to learn all of those subjects in, so they're not in English.
Shop, we don't have shops. We only have a tuck shop that owns by a Somalian guys who purchase our military service. And also, if you wanna go and buy some proper.
So I'm only correcting some of these things because it changes the context. She did not say they only have a town shop. She said we only have a tuck shop. We only have tuck shops. She said a tuck shop because she's English as a second language, but she said tuck shops, and then she mentioned 2 of them.
Service, you have to go to Paramount side or Fetris side.
And you say to purchase some what? Whatever. She said there's no shops. How far do you have to go to get groceries?
I think plus minus 20 minutes away from here.
Okay, so they got to walk 20 minutes to get some groceries over there. There's no shops or anything in the community.
Okay, so obviously living in a slum is awful and all of that, and going to a tuck shop 20 minutes is terrible, but 20 minutes is not that far for a shop. I mean, in the suburbs, I live in the suburbs. In the suburbs, you can, if depending where you live, if you walk 20 minutes to go to a shop. Now, obviously, the difference between walking to a tuck shop and walking to a real shop. Not to mention that a lot of these poor places, a lot of the stuff that's being sold there is not the healthiest.
All right, this is how they're living over there. This is how they're living. That's what she's saying. There's no shops or anything in the community. So they have to walk about 20 minutes to go to a shop.
How many?
20 minutes away from here.
You walk?
If you walk, yes, we can walk. But some of them, they just take taxis.
So you say there's a, hold on one second. She said there was a spa shop, like that convenience store. We call them convenience stores. Or convenience stores.
That woman who's interviewing doesn't know what she's talking about. She didn't say a spa shop. She said a spaza shop. And earlier she said a digital store. I don't know why she said that.
You know what I did not.
All right. Basically, I just wanted y'all to get the feel for it.
Any question?
Not so
Okay.
far. We're good.
You know what I did not see a lot of? And I'm just wondering. I did not see and not that anybody invited me into their informal.
Now, this is the Foundation of Black American Woman. She's talking about what she didn't see again.
Spacing, but I didn't see lotions and soaps and
Starting to sound like white people. The way they're talking, it's like, I didn't see any. It's like, okay, right. The point is they're poor. They are poor. The way you're talking now, it's like you were just, it's getting a little weird.
hair products or
Toiletries of any kind.
toiletries of
Yeah.
any kind. And I wonder, is that a thing?
Let me explain why this is the widest question I've ever heard. They don't have running water at all. Their closest shops are like makeshift shops. They don't have anything. Like a lot of, well, they have things, but they don't have that much to survive. You're like, can they afford? It's like, yeah, probably some of them have these things, but that's not a big concern.
Is that a
I have no
issue
idea.
or
I'm
problem?
sure. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think it is. I think they probably have what they need. I think that's probably a working class of people. I think they have jobs. I think they go to work. I think their kids go to school.
Oh, good.
I just think that due to the unemployment, I think which is about 40% over here.
40% unemployment, family.
40% official unemployment. They probably do have some, like if they're adults, they probably have some job somewhere, but they're getting underpaid.
That's damn near half of the population is unemployed. This is actually how they're living over there. And remember, she brought this up. She named this towns. I didn't go searching for this. She named this. We're just doing research on it now.
Yeah, but she was joking. And if she actually told you where she lives, I think you would be very surprised with the difference.
You dig? Because a lot of them claim they're actually living so great. You know, when they come to America, they're the kings and queens of Zamunda.
So I'll be honest, most South Africans don't qualify to be refugees. So most South Africans who actually do go to America probably have a lot of money. When they get, if you're saying they get to America, once they get to America, they probably have a lot of money. The ones who get to America, they have a lot of money. And also, I don't know what Zamunda is, and I mean, I know the movie, but
okay, and y'all just believing with the United States be telling y'all, okay, them statistics ain't looking good.
Find me a South African that doesn't say there's poverty in South Africa. Find me one of those.
Them actual communities, those actual interactions from people on the ground who actually go to those places, they're talking about the poverty. Okay, just to talk, and these are staunch Pan-Africans. They're trying to put it in a positive light.
They can't. They don't.
Well, to be fair, being a Pan-Africanist is not about trying to put things into a positive. That's called a propagandist. They're not trying to put it into a positive. They're trying to explain what's happening. I don't know about them. I mean, I can understand if they came with this impression that they're going to, heaven, and then they get here and there's a bunch of shacks, then I can understand that Pan-Africanists probably lied to them. But real Pan-Africanists know that there's a whole bunch of problems in Africa.
Have high paying jobs. I think maybe being here is very expensive and for them, and it doesn't quite balance itself, is what I think. But I do think that they go to work, they take the kids to school, they wear uniforms, they do all the things that anyone else would do. That's what.
You know what's scary? She keeps guessing at all of this. It's like, weren't you in the community? Couldn't you have just asked the people? I feel like they just quickly got in their cars and ran away. Which, again, is fine, but don't go there if you're going to treat the people like wild animals who need to be ran away from as quickly as possible. People are just talking to you.
That's what I'm envisioning. That's what I'm hoping is happening. It's just something different for us to see.
She said, that's what I'm envisioning. That's what I'm hoping. As a Pan-African, I'm hoping y'all not really living like this. You did, because a lot of us, we go over there and we have this Wakandanized vision that they didn't sold us through TikTok and through social media, how they're really living. So that's actually Soweto.
Yeah, don't get your opinions about any place in the world on TikTok. I forgot who the comedians who said raised by OGs, not IG. That is very important for you to go and look at actual information. This is why I'm putting this out there. A lot of people, they think that I'm just saying like, oh yeah, Africa, the most brilliant place in the world. I could just blank this out and pretend it's not real. But I want to show you there's poverty in Africa. That's why all of that genocide nonsense that the white people were talking about in America was all nonsense compared to what's happening to the black people in South Africa, who, as I said, they're not doing anything close to what a lot of people would do if they were in these conditions.
Okay, that's actually Soweto, the place that she was trying to show these 5-6 townships and act like that's how they're living over there. Okay, but I showed y'all the statistics. I showed y'all video for people who were just over there. This is, like I said, this video is about a week old. You can check it out on Sabu Live, SBU Live, her channel. I think it's the last video she uploaded. And like I said, the ancestors just blessed me with that video. That's how they're really living over there.
Those are some weird ancestors giving you videos of people in poverty. What about the prosperity? Do your ancestors ever talk about that, or is it always negative?
High poverty rate. Walking 20 minutes to the store. Again, 64%.
I'll be honest with you, walking 20 minutes to a store is good for you. Walking 20 minutes, now obviously if you live in a slum, it's different, but walking 20 minutes to a store, I don't know, when did that become like an evil thing? Like having stores all around you is not a good thing. People who have money will take that money and spend it if the store is right next door. And I know because that has happened before. That's not a good thing because you feel like spending when there's places to spend it at. I mean, that's one of the worst things about the internet, that people spend money because they just have it. They have it. There's a place to buy. There's things to buy. There you go. Putting a barrier is a good thing.
And I'll pull it up again. Of South Africans, Black South Africans are living in poverty. And understand this. Understand this, family.
Some Black South Africans are living in poverty. A lot of them are not.
When I say in poverty, the poverty line over there is different than the poverty line here. Okay?
Okay, good. I'm glad you acknowledge this because there's 3 different ways of measuring poverty. And a lot of the Africans that are put under the poverty line are under the international poverty line, which is still a bit different than the one in Africa, at least South Africa.
It's different. The poverty line over there might be a couple dollars a day. If you make more than a couple dollars a day, they don't consider you in poverty. Matter of fact, we talking list.
Well, that's because there's a difference between struggling and being in poverty. Being in poverty means you can't live. Obviously, like I said, obviously, if you have a couple dollars in South Africa, it means a whole lot more than having dollars in America. Like if you get paid, let's think, okay, let's see what he shows and then I'll show you the difference.
Let's just pull up what the poverty line is in South Africa. Okay. So again, as a reminder, in South Africa, approximately 64% of Black South Africans live in poverty, according to the South African Human Rights Commission. That's one. Okay, but what is the poverty line?
Well, again, that is taken through AI without context. Are these people living alone? Are they living in slums? Are they living with people? Are they, are they employed? Are they unemployed? That's taking it without context.
What is the poverty line? Okay, in 2024, the South African national poverty line is 1,109 South African rand per month, which is equivalent to about $60 per month, family.
Okay, so that really is poverty levels. If you make about $60 a month in South Africa, I mean, you're not living very well, which, by the way, a lot of the people who are earning that are in informal work like environment. They're not working legally because that's below the legal amount that you're allowed to pay people. I know that certain jobs like teachers and stuff like that, they make that amount of money a day.
That's the poverty line. So basically 64% of Black South Africans are making less than $60 a month. Okay, that's the poverty line. Compared to the poverty line in the United States, let's go and let's just see in real time. What is the poverty line in the United States? Because roughly 17% of Black Americans in the United States are living below the poverty line.
So again, you have to separate the two countries. I want to show you the difference here, because when we see this United States one, I want to see if you took that same amount and you gave it to someone in South Africa, what difference it would make.
What is the poverty line in the United States? Okay, let's go per month. Per month, okay? So basically, if you make less than $1,255 per month, you're living below poverty.
Okay, so you guys ready? So I put in this amount of money in the thing, right? $1,255 is 21,000 Rand. This is about how much a nurse earns in South Africa. This is about how much a teacher earns in South Africa. This is about how much, you know, a good driver earns in South Africa. Like, a lot of people earn this amount of money and they can afford houses in no time. They can afford all kinds of things, because once you have this amount of money, you're in the position where you can invest your money in a good way. And, you know, you make 40K a month in South Africa, you're going to be okay. 20K, you're already doing good. I'll give it to you. If you have 20K, you're already doing good. There are working people in South Africa who are nowhere near these prices.
Okay, that's damn near 10, 15 times with the poverty line higher than what the poverty line is in South Africa. So people, foundational Black Americans living in poverty over here, which they try to point out, which they try to point to, they love talking about our hoods. Those same people in our projects, in our hoods, would be living that elite life in South Africa.
But doesn't that go back to the point that you made about the people in America having opportunities that they're not even aware of compared to people in other places? So people in America who are basically, you know, above a lot of people in wealth, it's very different.
Okay, they will be living an elite life in South Africa with $1,255 a month. Okay.
Well, I wouldn't call it elite. Well, probably compared to everybody else, it would be considered elite, but it's not, you know, there's layers above that. There's people who are millionaires here.
So we got to start checking it at the door. Y'all don't want to talk about poverty. So 64% of Black South Africans are living below $60 a month. They're not even making $60. That's like $2 a day. But, you know, I showed y'all earlier that you had a lot of Africans, people from around the continent jumping in and around the diaspora. Let's also be clear, because y'all about to catch some bullets.
Well, I don't think we caught bullets. I think all you did was expose some of the poverty in the country. By the way, I wanted to point out again that if you can have $1,000 in America and be poor, and then have the same amount of money in another country and be rich, that's what I've been talking about the whole time. You can't just look at how much money people make flat. It doesn't make any sense.
Metaphorically speaking. You dig? In Africa, since we had so many Kenyans and other people from the diaspora, this girl is Somalian, okay? She's jumping in. A lot of y'all couldn't wait to take shots at foundational Black Americans.
She's definitely not Somalian. She was joking.
Y'all need to sit y'all ass down, because in 2025, around 438.6 million people in Africa were living in extreme poverty, with the poverty threshold at $2.15 a day.
Well, of course, if you think about that, then you can see the difference between South Africa and the other African countries. I mean, South Africa is one of the least poor countries in South Africa. In Africa, I mean, once you start going to the other ones, start adding them. This includes North Africa as well. It gets real bad. Obviously.
Okay. So 438.6 million people in Africa are not even or making right at only $2.15 a day. You're living in what is called extreme poverty. So that's roughly a third of the population on the whole continent of Africa. That's what you're making. That's what you're making, family. Sit y'all ass down, put down that TikTok, okay, and get them resources, get a shovel and get them resources that's underneath your feet. Start controlling them, start owning them.
You think the ones on TikTok are the ones earning $2 a day? Is that what you believe? Like, think about what you're saying right now. Somebody is living in extreme poverty. You think they're making TikToks? You think they even care about TikTok?
And doing something with the resources, like we did something with the resources we had. We took our physical and natural talents and turned it into a hip hop, turned it into a jazz, turned it into an R&B. We used our pennies and created Black Wall Streets, penny loans and saving banks.
You want to hear something crazy? Actually, a lot of what you're reading is an improvement from what used to be in the past, and they're slowly digging themselves out of this level of poverty. In 10, 20 years, things are going to be extremely different. But in order for that to happen, it's still going to take a long time. Like I mentioned, these things, they do take time. There's obviously setbacks. You have the entire world coming at you. Now, for some reason, foundational Black Americans, which I'm only including people who call themselves that. I'm not including everybody. I don't know why Americans would have any target to, like, not just Africans, because you can have a problem with Africans in America, or maybe the ones who talk about you on TikTok, but ones who are like, who have nothing. What could they do to you? What threat do they pose to you?
Okay, sisters like Maggie Walker. You dig? We use our resources, what little resources we had, and turned it into something, turned it into inventions. Okay? Let's be clear. When foundational Black Americans weren't getting the services that we needed, when we couldn't get the services that we were rendered, you had foundational Black Americans, okay, in the Hill districts of Pittsburgh and places like that, who said, okay, we're dying out here in the streets from gunshot wounds and different things of that nature. The police won't come to our neighborhood. We're going to create a paramedic unit. Some of the first paramedics, some of the first ambulance people and paramedics to work on the ambulance were foundational Black Americans. You dig? So that's what we do. That's what we do, family. We always are creating, and we're always using our resources and talents and whatever opportunity we get to create. Africans, y'all need to do the same thing. Respectfully. Instead of getting on TikTok, finding the most degenerate content you can find about foundational Black Americans and using it in order to attempt to tear us down. Because you
Wait a minute now. What did he say? He said, stop going on TikTok, finding degenerate content to try and tear us down. Isn't this what this video is? Trying to find people in proper poverty so you can tear people down. And also, I mentioned again, the people you're talking about who go on TikTok, I've talked about them before also. I will attack the person specifically, not, the entire country. But Modi Speaks is another one. I mean, even the American ones like Brandon Tatum and all of these people. These people are just, they basically try to make money off of insulting entire groups that they belong to. But you joining in is not helping. In fact, in a weird way, you're no different than they are. You just find videos of people doing degenerate stuff, and then you use it as an excuse to tear down those groups, those entire groups, not the person in the video, the entire groups. I mean, you literally came for the entire African continent. And don't worry, if you live in England and you're Black and you're like, whoo, at least he didn't attack us, don't worry. He's got a video for you. I've seen it. If you're living anywhere in the world and you're black, don't worry. He's got a video for you. Because apparently, the only people who are like good black people live in America. Everybody else is just a bad person. Except the babies, of course. He's not going to come for the babies. But as soon as they hit 18, they got another thing coming.
You don't tear us down. You, in fact, make us stronger. You make us stronger, because what y'all don't understand is we've been hearing the most negative and derogatory things about us our whole life, and we continue to push. But I'm not done, because she wasn't done.
Yeah, that's right. All you guys have been hearing your entire life is negative things. Meanwhile, in Africa, all we've been hearing is positive things about Africans the whole time. Nothing negative has ever been said about Africa.
Okay, now she went into another video. So somebody said, I could never, this is a foundational Black American, said I could never get offended by people who still have dirt roads and walk barefoot.
So over here, he's talking about this specific area. I'm going to say that this looks a lot like a lot of places, well, most places I've seen.
And again, this is more video image capping. What they like to do, they like to go show the few roads that are paved and then act like it ain't no dirt roads in their community.
Okay, so I wouldn't call it video capping, but obviously they're dirt roads as well. But most roads in South Africa, well, not most, but a lot of roads in South Africa are proper. It's just there's a lot of places as well that are informal areas.
Just like they like to show the 2 or 3 mansions in their province and act like they're all living like that. Like the poverty ain't high. Like the crime ain't high. Okay? So, you know me, I said, oh, damn. Okay, y'all living good. So I said, let me look up what percentages of the roads in South Africa are paved. Paved, I should say. So this is a combination of sources, family. It says some sources indicate that roughly half of South Africa's roads are paved or tarred. So about half, 50% are paved, 50% aren't. Others provide more specific numbers. One report states that provisional roads consist of 170,837 kilometers of unpaved and 52,114 kilometers of paved roads, suggesting that 77% of the provisional road network is unpaved. Okay.
So you can easily go to Google Earth and find out how much of the road in South Africa is paved. And most of the roads in South Africa which are paved are in major cities, which makes sense. It's where most of the traffic is. A lot of the places that are not paved don't have major traffic, which is probably why they're not too concerned about it. You must remember that South Africa is a very large place. So since he used AI, let me use AI as well. And it's always important to put things in context. So let's read this. I asked, where are South Africa's main unpaved roads found? The majority of South Africa's unpaved roads are found in rural areas, particularly in provinces like the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, and Northern Cape, where provincial and municipal roads networks have declining maintenance funding and a significant portion of the road network are unproclaimed and unpaved. Rural focus. Unpaved roads primarily serve rural communities, with some estimates suggesting around 140,000 kilometers of unproclaimed roads are predominantly in these areas. So, of course, it makes sense that the majority of unpaved roads would be in rural areas. Of course, they have completely different needs. Now, do they need a road? A lot of the times they need a main road. Provincial variations, well, the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, blah, 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 blah. Let's just get back into the video. It may seem like a smart question to ask this question, but again, it comes down to context. Now, do I think America has got a bunch of unpaved roads that are, useless or whatever? A lot of the unpaved roads, without giving context, are probably in rural areas and other areas where you wouldn't expect them. So it says here, what percentage of United States of America roads are unpaved 2025? It says approximately 35% of United States road networks is unpaved, with most of these being gravel roads. This figure is based on recent analysis, with some sources noting the total length of paved roads as around 4.3 million.
And that's according to, hold on, let me pull up where I got that from, because I want to show you sources. I don't want people to just think I'm pulling stuff out my rear end. Let's switch this.
So I want you to keep that in mind as we go forward with what he's saying with this point, because, you know, I mean, if you want to make a complaint about South African roads and how some of them have potholes and stuff, that's fine. But you're not going to get a real good, like, South Africa is the wrong country to pick when it comes to roads and having dirt roads, especially in important areas, at least not in every province, which I think you guys would call them states. Yeah, that's right. Hide your screen. Make sure no one can see your screen when you type that in. What happened? Why did he go silent? Let's read what he's reading, because it seems like it's disappointing him. Welcome to Roads Branch Overview. South Africa Road Network. South Africa has a road network of 750,000 kilometers, the 10th longest network in the world. The South Africa National Roads Agency Limited is currently managing around 21,000 blah 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 kilometers, whatever, of 64% are non, I think that's tolled, and around 16% are tolled. Provinces managing up about 47,000 kilometers of paved roads and 157,000 of unpaved roads. Municipalities manage 90,000 of paved roads and 201,000 of unpaved roads. I can't read this. The backing on road infrastructure in estimates at 1 to 7B. By the way, I hope he's being careful to make sure that he's getting into real government websites, because I know there's some Pakistani websites out there that are faking or spoofing South African websites, so you can click and they can steal your data. So he didn't get the answer he was looking for from the AI, so now he's like digging deep into it. TikTok, 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 it's taking its time. The reason why, by the way, he's going to show the unpaved roads. Every province, which is what they're showing over there, has rural areas, and those rural areas have unpaved roads. So again, he's reading it, but again, it's lost without context. They gave him the context in the AI version of it. They said it was the rural areas that were mainly unpaved. And of course, it makes sense that it's the rural areas that are unpaved. They're rural areas. But obviously, that answer was not satisfactory. I mean, he could just go, oh, well, congratulations for having your roads done up. I did not expect that. But instead, it's like, nope. You got to find problems at all angles, in all places. Tick tock, tick tock. Clock is ticking. Read it, read it, read it. I know it's true for a lot of other African countries that if you look at their paved roads to in cities, it will get a little bit different, but not here.
So roughly about, if you do the calculations on that, roughly about 70% of their roads are unpaved. If you go to other sources, just Google, says one report states that the provisional was consistent.
Why is he whispering? I don't understand.
Now you go to another source, family. This is the Transport Department. Now, if you go to other sources, family, this is the Transport Department, Transport Republic of South Africa.
So if you avoid the one that said 50%, the estimated 50%, and you go find another source that is going to be higher than that, then what is the results that you get?
As the province manages, let me zoom in so y'all can see. Okay, it says provinces manage about 47,348 kilometers of paved roads and 157,482 of unpaved roads.
But like the AI pointed out, most of those are rural areas that are not part of a much bigger network.
So basically, of the total kilometers, about 70% of the roads are unpaved. So again, family, lots of capping, lots of image and video capping, trying to paint a certain picture, family. And like I said, we got to stop being emotional about this stuff. We just got to come out here and make videos like this, checking it. We just got to check it, family. The days of the disrespect, the days of you disrespecting our lineage and ancestors.
Well, first of all, who is you? I'll say it once again. I'll say it again over and over. Most Africans are not concerned about African Americans. They're not concerned about disrespecting African Americans. They have no interest. They don't care. It's not a big concern.
You showing the most derogatory things about us, the days of y'all forming the Avengers, and I'm talking to the diaspora, to come for foundational Black Americans is over. We're going to start slow cooking y'all asses. We're going to put all of y'all in that pot of gumbo, and we can take it one by one. Okay, you want to talk about poverty, you want to talk about ratchetness, you want to talk about crime. Let's pull up the crime, let's pull up the ratchetness, let's pull up the poverty in your communities, okay?
Well, again, when it comes to crime, South Africa is an exceptional country in that it has a much higher crime, probably due to how it attracts a lot of people from other places, and also it attracts a lot of criminals. Where there's money, that's where the criminals go. But you know, our near neighbors, they have way less crime than we do.
Especially when you had foundational Black Americans, family, in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, who brought international attention to ending apartheid. When you had brothers like Randall Robinson, you dig, who led some of the sit-ins and organizations that led to the Free South Africa movement on an international level. When you had people like Queen Mother Coretta Scott King, who I got around my neck, okay, who led protests and sit-ins, got arrested at the South African embassy, trying to bring light to your struggle. Foundational Black Americans in the 90s. Mandela gave his hat off to Black Americans and the civil rights movement that he picked from. Brothers like Steve Biko, shout out to Steve Biko, rest in power to Steve Biko, who created the Black conscious movement in South Africa, who said he directly drew from the Black Power movement in America. In the way we paved the path for y'all that y'all never want to admit.
Again, who is this y'all? You just named 3 people who already admit to being inspired by African Americans. What's happening is you're finding the worst of the worst, which I could find easily in the 90s. Black Americans who literally were saying, why are they focusing on South Africa? They should be focusing on, you know, on other places. Well, in America, they should be focusing on the Black community in America. They shouldn't even be thinking about that place. I mean, I can think of one. NWA said that on TV.
No, we ain't allowing the disrespect no more. We ain't allowing the disrespect no more. Those days are over. Because what we understand is allowing those so-called few cancerous Africans have spread to the population. See, family, I'll end it with
That is absolutely not true. Most people do not share any of this girl's opinions. It has not spread to the population. The people you're talking about, again, it's a very small number of people. And you don't have to be Pan-African or nothing to think that to not have problems with African Americans. Believe it or not, people tend to have problems with people who are right next door to them, not people who are far, far away.
this. You don't get rid of cancer by ignoring it. You don't get rid of cancer by ignoring it. You get rid of cancer by directly addressing it and removing it, stepping on it and getting it out. Because if you don't, it's going to affect the other cells.
Yeah, but here's the thing about cancer. You go, even though you attack the entire body, at the end of the day, when the cancer is gone, the rest of the body is going to be sick. But then you have to turn things off so that the rest of the body doesn't die as well. And the way you're going at it, it seems like you're going to kill the cells before you kill the cancer. Because most of the cancer does not care. Everything you're saying here about Africa, the people that you're targeting don't care. They don't care. Most of them are not going to live in Africa for long.
It's your brother Chase. Make sure you get the ebook, 99 cents right now. 19 white men who